A low shout came out, and Hong Li's eyes immediately tightened. His feet suddenly stepped forward, and he retreated towards the back. The majestic fighting energy in his hand was instantly activated and blasted towards Xiao Yan. At the same time, he opened his mouth and was about to shout. It's just that although his reaction was extremely quick, there was someone who was faster than him. The moment Hong Li moved, Xiao Yan also moved. His feet moved a little, and the whole thing turned into a black shadow, as if he had traveled through space. Rushed towards Hong Li, even faster than him in an instant. Xiao Yan dodged the Dou Qi attacks fired by Hong Li and rushed in front of Hong Li. Under the horrified gaze of the latter, he immediately punched out skillfully and avoided the attack at a tricky angle. He opened Hong Li's arms and hit him in the chest. "Balong fist, kill me." With a soft cry, Xiao Yan's arm muscles suddenly swelled a bit, and the fighting spirit in his body emerged on his arm, adding a bit more strength. The fist, which was as big as a sandbag, was about to burst under Hong Li's eyes. Hit him hard on the chest. Boom! This was the last word that Hong Tianxiao could hear. The next second, his whole body was wrapped in blazing flames. After letting out a shrill scream, he turned into two halves of a charred corpse and fell to the ground, slowly burning. With Hong Tianxiao, who felt the difference in strength between the two sides, immediately changed his face, and his heart was full of horror. However, before he could react, he only felt the temperature around him suddenly soaring, and the next second, a ball of flame turned it into rubble. The secret room melted, and he rushed towards Hong Tianxiao. Caught off guard, Hong Tianxiao was hit again, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and had no choice but to fly up, trying to extend the distance and adjust his state. However, when he rushed out of the ground, he only heard a young but cold voice that contained murderous intent, quietly emerging in his ears. Although Xiao Yan killed Hong Tianxiao with the power of thunder and did not give him any chance to fight back, the fluctuations in the battle between the two finally attracted the attention of many people in the Hong family. Enemy attack. Soon, several figures with vindictive wings on their backs rushed to the scene. Looking at the secret room below that was turned into ruins and burning, and the figure in black robe holding a huge black iron ruler, he suddenly fell into anger. "You dare to invade my Hong family. You are seeking death." "Who?" Seeing Hong Li lying limply on the ground like a dead dog, Xiao Yan felt a sense of joy in his heart. After instantly killing Hong Li with one punch, Xiao Yan also let out a long breath of relief, and the murderous intent in his eyes faded a bit. Subconsciously, Hong Tianxiao turned around and saw a young man in black robes holding a huge black iron ruler in his hand, with 3 color flames burning on it, and slammed it towards him. Flame-devouring wave ruler. Along with a dull sound and the sound of bones breaking at the same time, Hong Li's chest collapsed directly. Hong Li's eyes immediately bulged, and his whole body involuntarily spurted out a large mouthful of blood, and then his whole body was like a kite with its string broken. Likewise, it drew a beautiful arc in midair, flew out, and then swept away a large area of tables, chairs, and benches, and then hit the ground heavily. He hesitated from time to time, and saw that only the air that came in was left, and there was no air that came out. Angry. Who is this person? After muttering to himself, Xiao Yan took off Hong Li's ring, then quietly tapped his feet again, and disappeared into the hall of the Hong family. The movement that the two of them just broke out was extremely small, and no one noticed that the Hong family. No one would have ever dreamed that Hong Li, who was halfway up the sect, would die so quietly in the family hall. Hong Li is dead, so Xiao Yan's next target is obviously the ancestor of the Hong family, Hong Tianxiao, who is still in seclusion. This person has the cultivation level of the 4-star Dou sect and is very powerful. He is also the current pillar of the Hong family. Did I in the previous life? Xiao Yan also encountered a lot of difficulties because of Hong Tianxiao's restraint. Fortunately, he was killed in the end, and the loss was stopped. Now that he is reborn, Xiao Yan naturally has no intention of letting go of this, which makes him extremely annoying. The old guy who relies on his old age and sells his old age. Soon, following the scanning guidance of soul power, Xiao Yan found the secret room where Hong Tianxiao was retreating. After weighing it, Xiao Yan did not choose to sneak into it. Although Hong Tianxiao of the 4-star Do Zone was far from Xiao Yan's opponent, if he were to, Xiao Yan can't kill without making any sound. In this case, it's better to attack head-on. With the idea clear, Xiao Yan immediately took a step forward. Fighting energy and soul power gathered in his body and exploded. Hong Tianxiao, who felt this powerful force, immediately retreated from the retreat and then ducked to leave the secret room. But just when he was about to leave, a fist wrapped in fighting spirit and flames came from the front door and swung in front of him, accompanied by a low shout. Baji collapse. Who? In my previous life, if you hadn't been the first to attack, I might not have been forced into a desperate situation. Subconsciously, Hong Tianxiao crossed his arms, but the moment he touched his fist, his expression changed drastically. Immediately, a wisp of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth, and he flew out upside down, collapsing the entire secret room and being buried underneath. Gotcha. Looking at Hong Tianxiao, who was easily killed by him, Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with a somewhat complicated look. How majestic Hong Tianxiao was when he left the factory in the previous life, how miserable he is now, if he hadn't taken advantage of Hong Chen and Hong Li's father and son. As a hindrance, I'm afraid it will be difficult to escape at this moment. A lot of tyrannical fighting spirit erupted within the Hong family, and they quickly rushed towards Xiao Yan's location. Kill him, go ahead. Someone got angry and immediately flew up, using his fighting skills to hit Xiao Yan. However, those with sharp eyes discovered the inconspicuous corner in the sea of fire, where there were 2 half-corpses. It was burning continuously, and based on some characteristics, they had judged that the person was Hong Tianxiao, the ancestor of the Hong family. As for those angry Hong family members, Xiao Yan was not polite at all. Immediately, he waved his big hand holding the dark heavy ruler, and then blocked all the incoming attacks with a ding, clang sound. Then he stepped a little closer and the heavy ruler suddenly slapped. In the next moment, the few Hong family warriors who dared to take action immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, flew backwards, and hit the ground heavily. They didn't know whether they were alive or dead. This scene made the remaining members of the Hong family feel as if they were falling into an abyss, feeling a deep chill. With this 1-foot shot, many powerful warriors from the Hong family flew out, not knowing whether they were alive or dead. The terrifying disparity in strength made everyone feel dry, tremble, and fall into great fear. Xiao Yan, the culprit behind all this, quietly glanced around. The random kick just now has severely damaged the foundation of the Hong family. The Hong family's fighting emperors who are still standing here are only 2 or 3, and they are not very strong. Judging from their aura, they are just new members. Xiao Yan had no interest in them at all, and had no intention of taking action again. Today, the 2 strongest members of the Hong family, Hong Tianxiao and Hong Li, are dead. Most of the backbone Do Huang warriors were seriously injured, and their lives were unknown. Although some people still existed, the Hong family had suffered an extremely heavy blow. Such a Hong family, let alone confronting the Han family, might be able to devour them all if just a few forces from Tiande City joined forces. Not to mention the constant friction and fighting between the Han family and the Hong family over the past few decades. The conflict between the 2 has reached a certain level. Now that the Hong family is in such a dangerous situation, the Han family will definitely add insult to injury. From Yan's perspective, the Hong family is undoubtedly doomed. These few people deserve to die, and left. Han Chi held his forehead, his brows tightened, but soon relaxed, and said solemnly to many senior members of the Han family, "How was your rest yesterday? I think it was good." This news hit everyone's hearts like a bolt from the blue. They all saw Hong Tianxiao's body after Xiao Yan got out of the way. Now that Hong Li is dead again, what should they do? Queen Medusa looked at the 2 people getting along. For some reason, she felt uncomfortable in her heart, and her brows wrinkled involuntarily. She had realized that Xiao Yan had gone out yesterday. After all, Her strength was not weak. As soon as he noticed it, he could naturally know Xiao Yan's actions. Young Master Hong Chun is still practicing in Fenglei Pavilion. Why not inform him of this matter and let him make the decision? He had no intention of communicating with the Han family. Although he had said hello to Han Yu in this life, and his relationship was considered good among the top 10 circles in the inner court, Han Yu was still in the family. Nan College, plus it was 3 years ago now, there was no need to have too much contact with the Han family. The purpose of the next stop is indeed there. Counting the time, it's about the same. It seems that the Hong family has offended some powerful person that they cannot afford to offend. They must have come here to seek revenge. Xiao Yan murmured to himself. Okay, if that's the case, let's keep going. The next day, a thing that shocked the entire Tianbei city spread. That is, the Hong family, one of the overlords of Tianbei city, was attacked by a mysterious person last night. The whole people were in panic. Although the news of the Hong family's blockade and the deaths of Hong Tianxiao and Hong Li have not been spread, there are many smart people, and some people have still guessed that the Hong family is definitely not as insignificant as it seems on the surface. It's a hindrance, at least to the extent of flexing one's muscles and bones. After all, even if something like this happened, Hong Li, the head of the Hong family and the famous fighting emperors of the Hong family, did not show up to calm the situation. Tian Baking, Han Mansion. Hearing Xiao Yan's inquiry, Queen Medusa and the little medical fairy also nodded lightly. This was worthy of its reputation as the best in Tianbei city, and the two women did not feel any acclimatization. What? The Hong family was attacked by a mysterious person yesterday, and now they are staying behind closed doors. Han Tian on the side said lightly with a bit of a smile, and his tone was full of joy. The other elders of the Han family also nodded. Agreeing with Han Tian's guest, he spoke calmly, and after Xiao Yan said a word coldly, he didn't care about the Hong family members who were facing formidable enemies. He stepped lightly, as if he had stepped into a different space, even under the watchful eyes of everyone. Disappeared in place, leaving only ripples like the spread of water waves. This magical scene made the remaining members of the Hong family shrink their pupils and take a breath of cold air. At this moment, a slightly sad voice came. Nodding, Xiao Yan said with a faint smile. He happened to arrive at Tianbei city and killed many strong men of the Hong family. Xiao Yan's goal has now been achieved, that is the Tianshan blood pool in the Tianmu Mountains. At this moment, there is exactly half a month left before the 3-year tidal eruption in the Tianmu Mountains. A middle-aged man wearing a light yellow robe sat on the seat and said, slightly surprised. He was Han Qi, the current member of the Han family and the father of the two sisters Han Yu and Han Shui. After saying this, Han Qi's eyes suddenly flashed with a cold light, and his originally gentle face carried a somewhat solemn look. Although he did not finish his words, everyone present clearly understood what he meant. For a time, there was an undercurrent surging again in Tianbei city. Xiao Yan got up early and said hello to Queen Medusa and the little medical fairy, as if nothing had happened. Queen Medusa nodded unhurriedly, which was regarded as an agreement, and the little medical fairy he became much gentler and stood up to greet him. Queen Medusa sighed secretly in her heart, suppressed the emotion, and stopped thinking about it. She knew that Xiao Yan had many secrets. Since he didn't tell the two of them, there was no need to ask. Xiao Yan has absolutely no ill intentions towards the two of them. In such a unique atmosphere, the three of them had breakfast together. After the waiter took away the rice bowls and plates, Xiao Yan leaned on his chair, looked at the two of them with a bit of a smile, and said softly, "Forget it. What is this guy doing, and what does it have to do with me? After all, there's Fenglei Pavilion behind the Hong family. Once he comes into contact with the Han family, he may cause trouble for them if he is interested. Moreover, the Hong family could not hide it for long. Hong Li and Hong Tianxiao were dead, and the Hong family was leaderless. Under such circumstances, it was a foregone conclusion that they would be devoured by many family forces in Tianbei city. No, it's not good. The master of the family is dead. Okay, I agree. No matter what, The Hong family is now in a decadent situation and has no power over my Han family. In this case, you should go and find out what the Hong family says first. If anything happens to Hong Li and Hong Tianxiao. The purpose of. The next stop was already anticipated in his mind, and the Tianshan blood pool contains rich energy, which is enough to improve the body. Even in order to achieve a huge role in breaking through cultivation, Xiao Yan would never let go of something like this that would allow him to quickly increase his strength with twice the result with half the effort. The Tianmu mountain range is extremely far away from Tianhe City, nearly 100,000 miles away. Even at Xiao Yan's speed, it took him more than 10 days to get here with the two women. After arriving here, the colorful energy above has gathered to a level, and there are only 2 or 3 days before the energy tide completely explodes. The Tianmu mountain range, even if you look at the entire northern region of Zhengzhou, has an extremely famous reputation. The main reason for this is naturally the Tianshan blood pool that appears every 3 years. That kind of magical effect is a miracle for most people. It has great appeal, and the vast majority of these people are mainly the younger generation because the magical effect of blood pool to reborn and help people break through bottlenecks has a greater effect on the younger generation. Now is the time when the energy tide breaks out every 3 years. Therefore, there are densely packed figures on the Tianmu Mountains, and there is quite a scene of people waiting to open the door to grab shopping. Even Xiao Yan has a headache. Forget it, let's go through the back door. I'm too lazy to fight with them. There's no point in bullying the kids. After taking the two women through the blockade and sneaking into the Tianmu Mountains, Xiao Yan complained that although the Tianshan blood pool was divided into 2 sections, Dou Huang and Dou Zong, most of the people who came to participate were Dou Huang experts. But for today's Xiao Yan trio, fighting the emperor is just like beating a child. It's just for fun, moreover. Among those people, Xiao Yan did not find those familiar figures. Perhaps they are too young now and have not yet shown their talents. Moreover, Xiao Yan also knows that the Tianshan blood pool quotas released by the gold-eating rat family to the outside world are not the best. There are even better choices. Compared with the Tianshan blood pool cultivation quotas provided by the quota are not the best. It's just a drop in the bucket. Xiao Yan, have you been here before? Why are you so familiar with this place? He. I see that the fire poison in your body has invaded your internal organs. If you don't treat it, it will not only be difficult to improve your cultivation, but your lifespan will also be greatly reduced. Why don't we make a deal? Shrugging, Xiao Yan looked at the two people with a bit of a smile and said, after scratching his head and laughing, Xiao Yan made up a reason, stuffed the candy into it, and said with a slight smile, Queen Medusa finally couldn't bear the confusion she had accumulated along the way. She asked quietly, and upon hearing these words, the little medical fairy on the side also glanced over, and her watery eyes seemed to be able to speak. He said the same words to Xiao Yan. Haha, don't be offended by the two elders. The 3 of us here are naturally here for the Tianshan blood pool. The tide has not yet come, so you should just wait. Besides, if you wait like this, you are violating the agreement you made back then. Xiao Yan's released breath soon attracted attention. In less than 10 minutes, 2 powerful breaths were seen coming from the distance, and then 2 figures with rat heads and human bodies came out of thin air. The breaths were so powerful that they were enough to heat a strong strength at the peak of Dozong that a figure with a rat head took a step forward and spoke with some vigilance. The powerful aura belonging to the peak of Dozong was inspired from his body. Obviously, Xiao Yan and the others gave him a great sense of uneasiness. When the 3 of them set foot on the top of the Tianmu Mountains, neither of them noticed anything was wrong. It was not until Xiao Yan took the initiative to let go of his momentum that they were shocked. However, what made them most wary was Queen Medusa. Xiao Yan had already put down his momentum when he noticed the arrival of the 2. Judging from the superficial cultivation level, Xiao Yan was just a fighting emperor, while Queen Medusa was a fighting emperor. Zong. As for the little medical fairy, he is just a high-level fighting spirit, and there is still a long way to go before he is a fighting king. The moment Queen Medusa saw the 2 people appear, her brows suddenly tightened. She was behind Xiao Yan and wanted to take a step forward, but Xiao Yan gently raised her hand to stop her. The little medical fairy on the side was familiar with the road. He hid behind Xiao Yan and protected the two of them in front of him. Seeing their changing expressions, Xiao Yan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, revealing an incomprehensible and gentle expression, and said with a chuckle, "Don't be surprised. As an alchemist, I can see that these things are quite easy. The Tianshan blood pool absorbs tidal energy every 3 years, but the best effect is the one deposited at the bottom of the blood pool. Haha, it's true that I've been here before." Jin Gu's angry rebuke did not frighten Xiao Yan. He had memories of his previous life and naturally understood the weaknesses of Jin Gu and Jin Shi. After hearing Xiao Yan's words, the two people who were still a little angry suddenly tightened their pupils, with a look of horror on their faces. They focused their attention on Xiao Yan. They never thought that Xiao Yan could see them. The fire poison on the body, Xiao Yan chuckled and stated the purpose of his trip without hesitation. His words also made Jin Gu frown, and he immediately shouted with a little anger, "It's not yet the time for the energy tide to explode. Why did the three of you destroy my Tianmu mountains for no reason? Actually, I had an adventure when I was practicing alone before. I learned everything about the Tianmu mountains from there." After hearing Xiao Yan's reasons, Queen Medusa was a little confused, but she was still relieved and stopped asking any more questions. Although there is fog in the Tianmu Mountains that can obscure vision and countless powerful magical beasts, it is nothing to Xiao Yan's trio. Not to mention anything else, just with Xiao Yan's current powerful soul power, it is able to isolate the perception of all monsters in the Tianmu Mountains. Even the gold-eating rat clan that controls the Tianmu Mountains cannot detect his presence, and not only that, the power of the Tianmu Mountains' energy tide that suppresses cultivation has little effect on Xiao Yan. After all, his physical cultivation is now weak. Compared to his strength, it's a bit far behind even with Xiao Yan's leadership. It still took the three of them most of the day to climb to the top of the Tianmu Mountains. Here, Xiao Yan signaled the two women to stop, and then released the soul power that he had been suppressing. As it opened, the majestic soul power came out of the body, and the aura was so strong that it even rolled up the thick white fog around it, making the place feel like a fairyland for a while. After a pause, Xiao Yan looked at the changing expressions of Jin Gu and Jin Shi, threw out his chips, and said in a deep voice, "How about I cure you too, and exchange it for the opportunity to practice at the bottom of the blood pool?" These words, like a bolt from the blue, immediately hit the two of them, shocking their hearts. To be fair, Tianshan blood pool does have some effects that can help people break through bottlenecks, improve their cultivation, and temper their bodies, but this is not obvious. The greatest effect is on people who have been at the peak of Douhuang for a long time, helping people to break through. Daozonged, I and the eyes of Jin Gu, Jin Shi, and others. This Tianshan blood pool is not of much use to Xiao Yan and others today. If I don't want to go, you can just discuss it yourself. Queen Medusa glanced at the two hesitant people and said calmly she was already at the level of Dozong, and the Tianshan blood pool had little effect on her. Moreover, she was from the Snake People clan, and her natural attributes tended to be cold, for such blazing fire poison can be said to be half the result with twice the effort. As for the little medical immortal, she is just a high-level fighting spirit now. Even with a mysterious physique such as the Ennan poison body, she cannot withstand the erosion of the Tianshan blood pool. She is afraid that not long after entering, she will turn into fly ash and be helpless. Bliss to enjoy. Jingu Jinshi and Jingu Jinshi, who originally thought they were going to take out the quota for 2 people, were hesitant, but their eyes suddenly lit up, and after discussing it again, they said to Xiao Yan, "Okay, if that's the case, then I'll give you a chance to practice in the depths of the Tianshan blood pool in exchange for you removing the fire poison for us. After the energy tide appears, I will take you there." Hearing this, Xiao Yan had a smile on his face. He did not agree directly, but chuckled. Haha, Elder Jinshi misunderstood. I want to go in now. As soon as Xiao Yan finished speaking, Jin Gu and Jin Shi frowned. You must know that the energy tide has not yet arrived. But It will not be until the Tianshan blood pool is opened. They were about to refute, but Xiao Yan's next words came again. Just listen to him say, "Two elders, the energy of the Tianshan blood pool is majestic. Every time the Tianshan blood pool is opened, no one can absorb it all. Over time, the energy accumulated at the bottom of the Tianshan blood pool has reached an astonishing level." Hearing that Xiao Yan bluntly revealed the secret at the bottom of the Tianshan blood pool, Jin Gu and Jin Shi's expressions changed slightly, and there was even a hint of coldness in them. However, before they could reply, Xiao, who had already secured the victory, Yan continued, "If you agree, I can now remove the fire poison accumulated in your body. How about this deal?" After hearing Xiao Yan's words, Jin Shi and Jin Gu, who were about to have a fit, were like geese that were caught by the neck. They were speechless. After a long time, they nodded. Jin Gu's eyes were complicated. Said, "In that case, it's up to you, but I've got my ugly words ahead. If you can't get rid of the fire poison for us, then let alone this deal. From now on, you will not be welcome in the Tianmu Mountains." "This is natural," Xiao Yan replied calmly. Under the leadership of the two, Xiao Yan and the other three followed them. After about half an hour, they came to a pavilion, and Xiao Yan also walked over unceremoniously, holding one hand in each hand. He touched the wrists of the two people, closed his eyes slightly, and a trace of fighting spirit mixed with soul power came out and directly penetrated into the two people's bodies. After a while, Xiao Yan opened his eyes, a cold light emerged, and with a bit of confidence, he said easily, "Although you are deeply smeared with fire poison, I can get rid of it to this extent." After the words fell, Xiao Yan took out a jade bottle directly from the Neji, which contained a refreshing feeling. After handing it to the two of them, Xiao Yan said again, "Next, we will expel the fire poison from your body. Then you can take this elixir and rest." After getting rid of the fire poison for the skeptical Jin Gu and Jin Shi, the two people who were still a little skeptical were now completely convinced, and their eyes towards Xiao Yan were also full of fire. You must know that in order to get rid of the fire poison, they also asked they met many well-known alchemists, but they were all helpless. Now Xiao Yan helped them solve it so easily, which made the two of them feel unreal. This young man is at least a 7th-grade alchemist. He has such a powerful talent at his age. Moreover, he is kind to us. We can only make friends with him, but do not offend him. Jin Gu and Jin Shi made a decision, and then they took Xiao Yan to the Tianshan blood pool, where a lot of fiery energy as thick as blood had been condensed, but compared to the huge pit, the energy liquid is not filled, but takes up about 2/3. "I'm going down first. See you in a while." Xiao Yan waved goodbye to the two girls, plunged in with a fierce thrust, and then swung his legs and swam toward the depths of the Tianshan blood pool. On the surface of his body, a layer of faint flames enveloped everything that dared to invade. All the fire poison in the body is burned out. The deeper Xiao Yan went, the more intense the energy became. However, the fire poison also became more and more serious, making people frightened. If for ordinary people, this fire poison is enough to kill, haven't you seen that strong men like Jin Shi, who are at the top of Dozong, are also tortured to death by this fire poison? For an ordinary Do Huang level kid, the moment the fire poison contaminates the Tao, it is enough to be fatal. But this is just a joke to Xiao Yan, who has a body protected by strange fire. He can ignore all this and just enjoy this rich energy. Soon, Xiao Yan arrived at the bottom of the Tianshan blood pool with ease. Feeling the solid ground, Xiao Yan showed a look of joy in his eyes. Then he sat down cross-legged, his eyes slightly closed, and he murmured in his heart, "Right here, start practicing. With this breakthrough, the harvest should be huge." A few days later, the Tianshan blood pool was officially opened. After repeated competitions, many people got the opportunity to enter the Tianshan blood pool. However, none of them knew that under the Tianshan blood pool, there was a Lao Lu who entered it in advance. After they all left, Xiao Yan, who was at the bottom of the blood pool, suddenly opened his eyes, feeling that his body and cultivation had been raised to almost the limit, and immediately stepped out. Boom. Along with the explosion on the surface of the blood pool, a water column appeared, and then a black shadow fell on the shore. With a bit of a smile, this time, Xiao Yan gained a lot. Not only was his physical body improved to its current limit, but the power of Bajabang and Balanquin was greatly increased. Even his cultivation level was improved by a huge margin. Not long after he first entered Do Huang, he jumped to the level of the 8-star Do Huang, and his aura was still heading towards the peak. Even if he was away from Do Zone, he was only one step away.